Welcome to Canterbury Cast, the podcast where you'll find sermons, conversations, and all things Canterbury UMC. We're glad you're here.
Welcome to Canterbury Cast, a space where we explore faith, life, and the ways God is moving in and through our church community. I'm your host, Haley Smith, and I'm so glad you're here. At Canterbury, our defining statement is that we are a church of real grace and real love in the midst of real life. And this episode is a perfect reflection of that because today we're talking with the directors of Books to Prisons, Shannon Wadlington and Celia Smyly. A Birmingham-based nonprofit delivering more than just books, they're delivering dignity, connection, and hope, and it all operates right here in the halls of Canterbury. So let's start by tracing how this ministry began and where it stands today. So for those who may not be familiar, can you tell us what Books to Prisons is and how it began?
Thanks for having us, Haley. Books to Prison is a nonprofit, as you stated, and we serve Alabama and Texas prisons. We give free books to the incarcerated. They will write us a letter requesting genres or authors, sometimes titles, and we'll write a quick note back and send them the books. And they can request books every 3 months from us. So that is basically what we do.
And how did Canterbury become the home base for this work?
Rachel Estes, who is Canterbury's outreach director, she had known about this Books to Prison. It was in Tuscaloosa, and she'd been down there before. And the two women had been running Books to Prison out of Tuscaloosa for about 13 years. And they were older women, and they're really ready to retire. Plus, their building, which was was inside a school, was going to be sold. So Rachel had told them if they ever were ready to move on, that Canterbury would love to have it. So she sent out an email, this was in 2020, about, Books to Prison and maybe helping it, needing volunteers. And I answered that email without asking a lot of questions.
So the program has grown exponentially from the early days that you're talking about to now. So could you just share a little bit about that growth and how many books are going out each month to the prisons in Alabama and in Texas?
Yes. We started off... we were formally connected through Tuscaloosa with DC Books to Prisons. That's how they got their letters. They covered Texas. They had Alabama, but they got very few letters. And so when we first started, we were still connected through DC Books to Prisons. I would email them once a month and a half, to say, please send us 100 letters. And we had our own stationery, which we still do, with our P.O. box, and we didn't know how long it would take us for the inmates to start writing us directly. It didn't take long. So we disconnected from DC Books to Prison. We started it in September of 2021, and we disconnected probably by January, February of 2022. So, it has grown and grown and grown. So I just ran the numbers yesterday. So we're averaging about 350 packages a month. So we are busy.
That is incredible. Incredible. Let's talk a bit about the program's impact. How do you see books shaping not just education in prisons, but hope and connection?
So I'll jump in here, if that's okay. So do you mean connection?
For the incarcerated.
Okay. So years ago, and most of the people volunteering for Books to Prisons, let's just go ahead and say, love books, and always have. And so years ago, in school, I was asked to give a statement about what reading is. And I said something like, reading is the introduction to new worlds or a deeper understanding of a familiar one. And so I think that gift that we give to the inmates is they get to connect with something outside of the horrible place they're in. Let's just be honest. I mean, it is, and Alabama's noted for that. We are the state's constantly fighting cases about it. But that they can put themselves somewhere else, and the results can be education, it can be a moment of peace, or as Chris England, with our state representative, who speaks often for the incarcerated, says, hope. It gives them hope, Just some stake in the world, some acknowledgement that they're part of the humanity in what is life for everyone.
And I have a great quote. There is a book we are passing around through the volunteers to read. It's called The River's Waiting. It's a new book by Wadlington. And when I read this book, I had to write this quote down. It says, offer a temporary escape from your restrictive environment. And that's what books do for those inside.
That's what you're doing.
They talk about traveling. Thanks for that. We've traveled today. Even if it's in a place nearby, it's a traveling with their mind and their spirit and their hope and their humanity.
And you mentioned their spirit. I mean, how do you think they feel at mail call when they receive a package with their name on it?
And we know because they've written to tell us about, people have told us that. Okay, and also we need to say that we include a note. We take great pride in trying to match what they want, substitute when necessary with what we have. And we'll write a little note on the back. It always begins with Dear Mr. or Dear Ms., And I think that they've written us to tell us that not only how they felt about it, like this is the first time my name has been called at mail call in 18 years, but also to describe the looks on others' faces when they get our packages of books and that personalized note. And we even get comments on the note that how much they appreciate our acknowledging them as a specific person with preferences and yearnings for knowledge and those things.
They are so appreciative, and they often say, they have no more family. Their families have left them. So just to get a touch from the outside by that little note. And I really consider it our heartbeat of our ministry, is that little note is showing them love and compassion through these books we send, and that little note.
I think recognizing their humanity, that's our secondary gift.
Right.
But maybe it's the most important.
And the letters that you receive back.
Right.
I know those are impactful to the volunteers here.
Yes.
So, Shannon, I would love for you to share the story of Buzzy. I've heard about Buzzy. It's such a powerful example of how this ministry touches lives. Would you tell us about that?
I'd be glad to. Yes, Buzzy started writing me almost 4 years ago now. He's in his 70s. He's an ex-Marine. And his first letter, I just happened to answer. He wanted a series by Mark Greaney, and I had never read any or knew of Mark Greaney, so I tracked the books down. Some letters will pull at our heartstrings, and we'll go to research and find these books. So I found Mark Greaney's series for Buzzy, and I was buying them with my own money, and so I decided if I buy him 2, then he's going to want the next one. So I just bought him 4 paperbacks at the time of his series. It's the Gray Man series, which became on Netflix. So they're great books. so that started it. And when Buzzy wrote back, it was just instant friendship. He was blown away that I had bought him those 4 books. And I don't think he knew I bought them, but I sent him these 4 books. And he sent me a huge pop-up butterfly card. And there was a butterfly on the outside, and when you opened it up, it was this giant butterfly that popped out. And he called me Mistress Shannon, and he didn't know I was a female. And I let it, I wrote to Buzzy for a year and a half probably before I ever told him I was a missus. And it was a big joke between us. But so that just started our friendship, and he has brought, a whole different perspective for me of what an inmate would be. He is the longest term writer, and so, like I said, for almost 4 years, but we ended up getting him one of the new Mark Greeny's books. We were sitting in the library, and I was reading his letter to one of the volunteers, and she said, Mark Greeny, I went to college with his wife. And she said, I'm Facebook friends with her. And so she reached out to Mark Greeny's wife on Facebook, who lives in Tennessee, and we end up getting a signed copy of his latest Gray Man series books and sent it to Buzzy. Buzzy was just, I can't imagine, but in his letter, he wanted to send our volunteer here one of his butterfly cards or pop-up cards, and she said, why don't he send it to Mark Greeny? So Buzzy got to send the letter to us, the card, and we mailed it to Mark Greeny, so he got one of Buzzy's pop-up cards.
It's an incredible story.
But it's really, we still write, yes, it is amazing.
And most of the volunteers who've been doing this for a while have their people, that regularly put on the envelope, like, I'm Mrs. S. They'll put Mrs. S or whatever name that's used. And so we have our people.
We do, yes. I have about 4 regulars now that I write to and send books to.
I know, that's really special.
It is really neat, really neat.
Let's flip the perspective for a minute to the volunteers. Celia, can you share about the volunteers that take part at Books to Prison on a regular basis?
Okay, sure. So I'm just going to say to begin with that this is an amazing community. And that's one thing that Shannon's been able to build with this, is that the volunteers now are close. I mean, and we're all united in this passion for Mother Teresa's quote that's so famous, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And I think another thing that bonds us is that great love that we do this work with is not one that gets the popular vote in this world, I mean, and we're not naive either. It's like we know that some of the people who are in prison, a certain percent of them probably are not capable of being in society safely. But there's still, Jesus was pretty clear about this in Matthew 25. We're still to care about them. And I think that we're united in that. And it's really become a true friendship, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
With people who believe in what we're doing.
Yes, we're definitely a little family at Books to Prisons. Yeah. We've all become...
And our family includes... formerly incarcerated. We work with the Appleseed group that has worked to get elderly people out of prison who were convicted on the 3 strikes and you're out. Never ever did anything violent, but that they were there for life, because even though that bill was ended, that they overturned it, the legislator did, they didn't make it retroactive.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up the Appleseed. The Appleseed program, because the Books to Prisons volunteers, you guys have been doing work in Montgomery. Could y'all share a little bit more? Could you go a little bit more there with what you've done in Montgomery just in the recent 2 years?
We were never an approved vendor for Alabama prisons to be able to send books in. So thanks to two different Canterbury members, we were able to go down. It took two times, 2 different years. The Department of Corrections works very slow. And we went down and advocated what we did and what we're doing for Texas. And we're sending all these books into Texas. And Texas has the most prisons of all the United States. And we just fought and just never backed down as far as what we do. We send in free used books. Alabama's laws at the time was new books, where most families and inmates do not have money. So, and we do not set up libraries inside. That's not what we do. It goes back to that letter. And so, we just kept on, not giving up. And finally, April of 2022, 23, it becomes
23.
23. I know it becomes.
Wait. Okay, we don't know.
we think. Let's see. No, it's been a year. So April of 23, we became an approved vendor for Alabama Department of Corrections, and we had to have a party because it was our goal.
Yes,
it really was our goal. We wanted to get in Alabama. We are here in Alabama. We wanted to get in Alabama.
And
prisons.
Alabama was a tough cookie to crack.
Yes.
I mean, no, you don't crack cookies. A tough nut to crack. But yes, I mean, they were very strict. And
yes, and
there were 2 vendors, and they were both for profit, that were approved. So,
and we do work. We are great friends with Alabama Appleseed, and so they've invited us to several things. So we are quiet advocacies for what we do. We don't want to get political.
We want to be friends.
But we go down to Montgomery to the joint legislative joint prison oversight committee, and we are there in solidarity with the families that are speaking, and so we may pass out our brochures to family members, but we don't get up and speak.
Right. We're silent witnesses.
Yes.
Right. So really, there's hope in this work, even though the justice system might feel broken.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You just can't give up. They deserve more, more compassion than they really receive.
And the ripple effect is like one small kindness. You just don't have a way of knowing what a difference it will make. And we do lots of small kindnesses.
Yes.
We've
had lots of ripples. I'm glad you brought that word up. We now, so we work off donated books, and we receive donations from, the congregation, from the community, from the libraries. We go and work with all the local libraries, but we now are able to send books into the Jimmy Hill Mission. They've started a library there thanks to one of the Canterbury's members. And so we definitely, have seen other little ripples. There is 2 different prisons that they request boxes of books. And there is a police, he may be a sergeant or a lieutenant. He has come down and we've given him a box of book or boxes of books to take back. That's not what we like to do, but we are willing to do it so they will have books.
Of course.
There is another prison.
And I think he was working with like a city jail or a county jail.
From a surrounding area of Birmingham?
Yes, and we don't. Well, it wasn't Birmingham. It's out a little bit. But we don't send books to city jails or county jails because you don't know how long they'll be in there. They don't accept them they don't have space for it. And so it was easy for us to say yes to him. I mean, and also just acknowledge that he cared.
Yes, yes.
So we wanted to support him.
So you mentioned book donations, Shannon. Yes. So for listeners who want to help, what is the best first step? I know people can donate books. They can donate monetarily. Share a little bit about that.
Yes, there's definitely different ways you can give back. We do accept book donations. We will accept paperback. We do accept hardback, but Alabama can only have paperback. Texas can have hardback, but for Alabama is definitely paperback. But the books, and this is really Celia's expert area, is they must be very clean, no coffee stains, water damage, mold, mildew. If the book doesn't look like you want to read it just because the way it looks, then we don't need that book.
That's a good rule.
We have an intake committee because the rules are so stringent, and every book that comes into our library has been approved by that intake group. It can't come into our library until that's happened.
And Texas has 10,000 banned books. So we work off the Texas rules for Alabama. So if it's banned in Texas, we do not send that book in Alabama, just because it makes it easy for our volunteers. When they come in our library, they know any book is in there, they are able to send it. So book donations, but we also, any contributions, monetary contributions are so helpful. We have certain books that we actually buy from the publisher. We found in the beginning, it wasn't long before we figured out they were always wanting personal finance or how to start a business, or CDLs, which are commercial truck driver license books. So we've found different publishers we work with, and so we do buy certain books. Westerns, we cannot keep those on the shelf. So we have found a great publisher that they are very inexpensive. So donations are very helpful. Plus postage.
Let me stop.
Postage is expensive. So, yes.
I was just going to jump in on the Westerns, because people say, Westerns, what's the deal with that? And we go, Texas.
Texas.
Yes. But yes, the postage is our major expense.
Postage is our major expense right now. And we send media mail. So right now, an average package that we send out is probably close to $6 now. We have it increases twice a year. We just had a price increase July 1st. So it's not an inexpensive ministry that we run, but we're very good stewards with our money. And like I said, sometimes we do shop for a certain letter. A letter just pulls on our heartstrings, and we want to find that book for that person.
And so the monetary donations help us with those extras that just are not going to be donated. That is often a request that we want to provide,
right?
And a resource for.
The requests, I think that's the most amazing thing with the new volunteers, is the huge variety of requests in books. It can range from science, astrology, Westerns, mystery thrillers are our number one genre, world religions, you name it, and we get asked for it.
Yes.
And Google is our friend, because a lot of times we are having to learn, either who that author is or what that book is about.
Yes, it's funny because the volunteers that have been with us for a while know all the major authors and what type of book they write. I mean, you may never read that genre yourself, but you know a lot about it.
So in the library, I understand there are a lot of retired librarians that volunteer.
Yes, we love those people. They came with a natural passion, and they're some of our strongest volunteers. They certainly believe in our mission. And they know what they're doing.
Yes, yes.
And tell me about Frank.
Oh, so my son Frank and I started, we're the oldest longest serving Birmingham volunteers, I think, because I saw in the Canterbury or whatever means they let us know about this volunteer opportunity that Shannon Wadlington was going to be leading this. And I go, I can volunteer with Shannon. She used to be a volunteer for me.
That's right.
So I knew it would be done right. And so Frank and I both book people and introverts thought this will be good. So we started volunteering, and it was great. And then our retired librarians were so supportive of Frank, and we started noticing that he was really good at the skills, and he started making suggestions. Why don't we do this? Or had you thought about that? And so you may not know that our director of outreach, Rachel, has a degree in library science, so she picked up on it. And then all the other librarians did. And so Frank is now in the master's program for library science at the University of Alabama. So, that's worked out great. He's found that passion.
He's been a great asset.
So books may seem small, but inside a prison cell, they can mean everything. Huge thanks to both of you today for being with us and sharing all about Books to Prisons. If you'd like to get involved, visit givebookstoprisons.com. Again, that's givebookstoprisons.com. Every book you send is a step toward a more just and loving world. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us next time.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about what's going on at Canterbury, follow us on social media or visit our website at canterburyumc.org.